In the name of Allah, the most merciful and almighty. Assalamu alaikum students. Hope you will be fine. Today is 23rd April 2020. This lecture is for grade 9. Subject is physics. We are studying chapter number 3, Kinematics. In this lecture, we will try to learn about kinematics, mechanics, rest, motion, and types of motion. Before starting, please open your book on page number 30. The first topic on page number 30 is mechanics. Let me define mechanics. Mechanics is the branch of physics which deals with the study of motion of an object. Everything in our universe is in state of motion. For example, our solar system moves through space, Earth revolves around the sun, people, animals, air, and countless objects move about on the Earth's surface. These all things are examples of mechanics. Mechanics is further divided into two branches. The first is kinematics and the second is dynamics. In this chapter, we will discuss only about kinematics. The word kinematics comes from a Greek word kinesis, which means motion. Kinematics is defined as the study of motion without describing the force is called kinematics. For example, moving truck, walking, running, etc. In kinematics, we only deal with motion. We are not concerned with the force. In the picture you can see a moving truck. We deal with the speed, velocity, acceleration, etc. But we did not deal with the force, that what are the factors that moves the truck. We only deal with the motion of the truck and we are not describing the force. Next are some terms related to kinematics, which are rest and motion. In our daily life, we are used to these terms. Let's define these. The first one is rest. An object is said to be at rest if it does not change its position with respect to its surrounding. For example, tool lying on the floor, bench in the park, books on the table. All these are in state of rest. In this example, these are static, means it cannot change its position and it will remain in state of rest until some external force disturbs its state. Next is motion. Motion is the opposite of rest and is defined as an object is said to be in motion if the position changes with respect to its surrounding. As in rest, we define that an object is in state of rest if it does not change its position with respect to its surrounding. But in motion, the object will change its position with respect to its surrounding. For example, sea surfing, high-speed train, snowboarding. In all examples, the objects are changing its position by moving from one place to another place. So these are in motion. After discussing about the rest and motion, it will be clear that when the objects will be in rest and when it will be in motion. Now the question is it possible for an object to have both state of rest and in motion at the same time? So the answer is yes. How? Let me clear it with example. Let us suppose a person is traveling in a train and he passes by another person standing alongside the track. You can see outside the train. The person standing along the track will see the person and everyone else in the train as being in motion. The outside person is seeing the person and the object inside the train in motion. But all the persons sitting in the train will be stationary with respect to each other. So from the above example, we can understand that B and C are in state of rest to each other. But the same objects B and C are in state of motion to the object A. An object may be in motion with respect to another object, but may be stationary with respect to the third object, as it is clear from the figure that B and C are in rest and the same object B and C are in motion to the object A. Conclusion. From the above example, it is clear that an object may be at rest or in motion at the same time. It is an observer and the surrounding that decide whether a given object is in state of rest or in motion. As from the example, B and C are in rest to each other, while the same B and C are in motion to the object A. So it is because of the surrounding. Coming toward the type of motion, we have three main types of motion. The first one is translatory, second is rotatory, and the third is vibratory motion. Translatory motion is divided into two types. The first one is rectilinear motion or simple linear motion, and the second is curvilinear motion. Let's discuss it one by one. Translatory motion. If an object moves in a line in such a way that every point of the object moves through the same distance in the same time, then the motion of an object is called the translatory motion. In the picture, you can see that the car moves from position 1 to position 2. Every point of the car, that is A, B, C and D, moves from their position to their new position, that is A bar, B bar, C bar and D bar. This type of motion is known as translatory motion, in which the whole body moves from one place to another place. The first type of translatory motion is rectilinear motion or linear motion. If the translatory motion of a body is along a straight line, it is said to be rectilinear motion. In the picture, you can see that all the moments are along a straight line. So this type of motion is called rectilinear motion. Or we can say, if the whole body moves from one place to another place on a straight line, that will be called rectilinear motion. The second is curvilinear motion. If the translatory motion of a body is along a curved path, it is said to be curvilinear motion. If the path is straight, so it will be rectilinear motion, and if the path is curved, so it will be curvilinear motion. The second type is rotatory motion. If an object moves in such a way that every point of the object moves about a fixed axis, then the motion of an object is called rotatory motion. For example, in the figure, D and D bar is the fixed axis, and all the other points A, B, C are moving around the fixed axis. This type of motion is called rotatory motion. This is simply motion of a fan. As you can look at the picture, the D and D bar are the axis and A, B, C, D are moving around the fixed axis. The third is vibratory motion. To and fro motion of a body from its rest position or mean position is called vibratory motion. For example, swing and pendulum. The object moves back and forth from its rest position. So this type of motion is called vibratory motion. Here is your assignment. Find an example of rest and motion frame of reference. Means that how the body is at rest and in motion at the same time. Find an example. Write 3 examples of each type of motion from your daily life. We discussed 3 types of motion, that is translatory motion, rotatory motion and vibratory motion. So you have to find 3 examples from your daily life. Hope the lecture will be clear. Thank you.